Good evening, everybody, or hello, whatever time of the day it is where you're joining me from. I'm just going to ask everybody to mute if you haven't already, just saves any background noise. So, hi, everyone on camera. Who can I see? Jane, Anna. Lovely to have you with me. Can everybody just check their pieces, please? The funny thing is, when I ask that, it's usually the person who's making the noise who doesn't hear it, as we've discovered on many calls. But just have a little look, and if you spot anybody that's not muted yet, just maybe pop them a little message if you know them. So thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to get straight on, and I am recording this as well, but it is tomorrow at 9 o'clock UK time. Summer school doors close, so nobody can join after 9 o'clock. I've left it as late as possible. I'm afraid my brain doesn't function very much after that sort of time. So I thought I'll do 9 o'clock, and that should give everybody, wherever you are in the world, plenty of time. And it's a Saturday as well. But I wanted to come on, and I know lots of you, I can already see people on here that are taking part and have signed up already. But if you're sitting on the fence, if you've just discovered it, if you're not sure, it's fine if you decide not to join us, but I don't want you to not join us because you didn't know what to expect or you had questions that weren't answered yet. All right, so that's why you're here and that's why I'm here for half an hour this evening. All right, so while I'm letting people in, could you pop in the chat box? Thank you, everybody saying hello already. Could you tell me what is your role working with 3 to 7-year-olds? You know, obviously not many people are working with 3 all the way up to 7, but just tell us in the chat box your role, because it's really important and interesting as well to see what our audience is tonight. And if I've never met you before, a particularly warm welcome. The world of EY Maths is a wonderful, safe, inspiring one if you've not been in it. And we always bring a favorite drink with us. Mine is water at the moment because it's quite warm. So go for it, everybody. Pop. This is a good sort of test run as well, that whatever you put in, you get out. So tell us in the chat box, make sure everybody types, tell us who you are. And if, like Melanie, you're in the US, you know, use whatever you call your year groups. I will try very hard. If I say things like nursery and reception, I'll say things like, well, 3 to 4-year-olds, 4 to 5-year-olds, and so forth. And Key Stage 1 in England is 5 to 7-year-olds, but in Scotland and in Wales and in Northern Ireland, things are called by different names. So use the names you use, but also put the age groups in as well. Great. Okay, so keep doing that. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you, I'm just letting lots of people in here, is if you are a teacher, this might be the same for other jobs as well, and you can tell me who here, in fact, actually, before you tell me this, tell me how long you have been doing the role you're doing. I'm going to say teaching, even if you don't regard yourself as a traditional teacher in a school, that you're still a teacher. So how long have you been teaching? That will sort of a precursor to my next question. There's lots of fingers coming out at this point, or people thinking like, how old was I when I started? Yeah, Maureen, honestly, me and you. Yeah, because I'm thinking, do I include my training or not? If I don't include my training, mine would be 32 years. Gosh. 33, Jill. Yeah, we're nearly the same there. Okay, so what I want to ask you while you're typing that in, do you still have the nightmare that often starts maybe a week before you go back, but is certainly the night before you go back, that you cannot teach? You have completely forgotten how to teach. Because people might say, I feel like that on normal days, but who here gets that nightmare that literally someone's going to find you out? How on earth am I going to do this? 30 odd kids. What was I thinking? All of those things, you fill in the blanks. All right. So I want you to know that if you are newer to education, it doesn't go away, that nightmare, that dream. You think, oh, you know, in a few years, I won't feel like this. I remember as a young teacher, the teachers who I regarded as more mature at the time, not necessarily in their behavior, but in years, they would say, oh no, like this never goes away. Okay. So the reason I ask that is, one, let's have some kind of group support here. It's always, you can't necessarily change things, but you can always go, I'm not the only one. But I would say that the main reason I am running this summer school at a time where many of you are on your break, not everybody, because we're very international, is I want to help that dream either not happen or be something that you can wake up in the morning and think, I know I had that dream, but actually I am feeling much more confident, much more excited, and I know I'm not alone in terms of asking for support. So does that sound like it's possible? Pop in the chat box. I know everybody would love to feel like that. And the way to feel like that is to have more, to know more things and to feel more confident genuinely. And that's what I'm aiming to give you and, you know, pretty much can guarantee to give you in summer school. All right. So yeah, so just, you're not alone. All right. Next question. This is a biggie. What will make you a really effective teacher, not just of maths, teaching children of any age, but we're going to think 3 to 7. Pop in the chat box. There are no right or wrong answers. They're just answers you can give reasons for. So I want you to think in your mind, what is it that really effective teachers do that makes them so effective, or what tools do they have? Because again, this is so important as we go in and I show you what I've prepared for you. Yeah, and so don't overthink it. Go with your instincts here. Have a look at what other people are saying. Hi to everybody that's still joining us. It is lovely to have you here. We've got over 50 people on the call, which is wonderful. I mean, I can tell you what I think, but I want you to look in the chat box and see what other people are saying. So when you say, you know, what I'm looking for is, what is it that someone can do or someone knows how to do that means that they are the best people to help children understand things, hold on to information, you know, for the long term, enjoy their learning, engage in their learning, because they're all the things that I would say is teaching effectively. So think about what teaching effectively looks like, and then think, what do these people do? So there's many things, aren't there? But for me, with my 32 years into the job, 36, including my training, it is understanding the subject that I'm teaching. And it's then knowing the children, really knowing the children. Tell me, even if that isn't what you said, what do you think about those two tools? If I thoroughly know my children and I'm always trying to learn more about the subject at my own level, so I don't have to do this is what I was told, this is what, when I Googled it, it popped up. I want to have knowledge because that's what genuinely gives me confidence. Yeah. So if that makes sense to you, that's what I am about, not just in this training, but all of my training. So I am going to show you. Now, I know some of you, as I say, I can see on the screen who I've got. Some of you are already signed up and you got an email tonight to tell you about that. Now, everybody that isn't got another 24 hours notice. So I am hoping there's kind of a lovely mix of people who are, oh, sorry, my dog Blue's barking outside. There are people who are kind of like, can't wait till Monday, so really want to come. It's like looking around houses, isn't it, on Rightmove or something like that. And then there's people who are not sure, so you can see what is involved. And I really want you to ask any questions you've got at all. So I'm going to keep my chat box handy as well. All right, this is the library. So if you've never trained with me before, you have a library that is simply accessed by going to the EY Maths website. You go to login. You will have done this with other people's training. You fill in your email. You know, you have a password and you go in and there is the summer school. And if you work with me in Impact or Pathway, you're going to have lots of other things in there as well. And you're very familiar with that. So here is the dashboard. So I've got some simple steps to get you started, because people get really frightened when they're going to do something. If you're completely new to me, I don't know how to log in, I won't be able to do this kind of crazy mindset that hijacks things. And the fact is that if you get stuck, we're here to help you. It's as simple as that. And I don't design things that are hard to access, but you've got masses of people to help you. And if you do use Facebook, we have a pop-up community here as well that you can access. And I have done a welcome video which asks people to introduce themselves. And if you look below here, one of the lovely things, this would be your own personal library. It'll have your name at the top, not mine, as you saw there. Can you see? Look, it's got my name here. It says I haven't done any work yet at all. Oh, but I'll come back to that in a moment. So here are all the people introducing themselves. So you can look and see where are people coming from. You know, maybe you're in Sheffield and you might want to reply to Rachel and have a little chat with her. So you look down here, go to more comments, masses and masses of people introducing themselves that have joined the training already. So this is just a really lovely way to go in and have a look at who else is in this. You don't need to use Facebook to do this training. You can interact just on the library. But what I've said in the video is if you don't want to use Facebook, that's your personal choice and 100% respect that. But you may want to join the group using another family member's Facebook account because you just want to be part of it. Yeah, so, or you might want to join Facebook temporarily and then leave again. But that community is there, but you will still get everything you need not being in Facebook. Facebook's an extra layer of support. So we've got things here. So this is where it will appear. So I've got start here. Now you will then get the videos and all the downloadable resources, some of which I'm going to show you in a minute. They'll appear here. And what we've got as well this time, which I am very excited about, let's just move that over here. You're going to get badges. So pop in the chat box, anybody here like a reward? Who here gets maybe a little bit more excited than they thought they would at the age they are at the thought of getting a badge? There's lots of research about how we shouldn't be externally motivated, and I completely agree with that, but I love a badge. I don't know why, but there's just that sense. And also it helps me stay accountable. It keeps that kind of foot on my bum because I want to be rewarded and I want to see my progress. So these, I've named them Pebble Badge, Shell Badge, Nuts and Bolts, Leaf, Seed, and Sunflower. So again, if you've worked with me before, you'll understand why I've called them those. And when you get to a certain point in your training, your badge will appear here and you will see your badge and you can feel terribly proud of yourself. You could associate it with a treat. You can choose. All right. So tell me if you've not seen inside the library, if you've got any questions, does that all seem to make sense? Do you like the color teal? Because if you don't, I'm afraid you're going to get a lot of teal because it's a color I love, as you can see from behind me. But does that look good? Oh, hang on. I've got a badge blanket. Will they be real? No, they won't be real, Sarah. But you could make one, couldn't you? Yeah, and stick it on your blanket. That would be great. No, it'd be a virtual badge, but it's just as valuable. All right, so any questions, please put a Q in front of any questions and I'll make sure I don't miss those. So what I'm going to show you next, let's see, I'm going to show you the Facebook group next. I'm doing a bit of a tease here. Hang on a second. Yeah. Just, Marie, can you give me a wave if you can see the Facebook group okay? Yeah, great, thank you. So this is the Facebook group. We've got over 200 people signed up. You can see a lot of them haven't got around to joining yet, but hopefully most of them will. Here are the lovely members. And at the moment, everybody is saying hi. We've got Kira here from Brunei. I've got Lydia, who is in my Greater Impact group as well, but lots and lots of hellos, people getting to know each other and little posts from me just to welcome you. So that's what the Facebook group looks like. It is such a safe space. I approve all of the posts, me personally, no one in my team. So I know what you are posting about so I can help, but it also means that you can feel completely safe and confident with what you post because everything has to be approved, including any re-edits. So you must know, and it's really important to me, that this is a really safe professional space for you. So the last thing that we've got, I'm just going to stop the share and make sure it's working. Let's go and have a look inside some of the resources. So, because that's what you're here for. So this is the equivalent, isn't it, as I say, of looking up houses on the internet, going like, oh, I can't wait. I've got to go and have a little peep inside. So what I have done, I'm going to just put this on present. So hopefully, can you pop in the chat box if this appears okay for you? Because I don't normally put the presenter mode on. Oh, Nina, thank you. I'll answer that question, but just put some thumbs up in the chat box for me if that's showing okay. Thank you, Tina. So Nina had a question there. Because I don't want people to have to use Facebook, Nina, what I've decided to do this time, and it's also because I don't have eCam anymore, I can no longer share my screen on Facebook, which I used to do. So from now on, all training that I do that has a pop-up group, all of our lives will, with me, the formal lives will be on Zoom, because Zoom's the only way I can then share my screen like I'm doing now. Okay, it also means that those people who are not on Facebook can join the lives and don't just have to wait for the recording. Okay, but thank you. Any more questions like that about the organization or anything, please ask. So you've seen this before. My idea was to take number sense, and that's obviously only one aspect of mathematics, but it's massive, and do something that I don't think exists anywhere in the world. And that is to respond to the fact that one of the most common questions I get is, I need help understanding the progression. What does the progression look like? It's a massive sort of, not, I wouldn't say massive job, a massive, what's the word, challenge, I guess, to begin to put together what a 3 and 4 year old would do, then a 4 and 5, then a 5 and 6, and a 6 and 7. And I'm throwing all of my tools at this to do the very best job I can do, and using lots and lots of research. So this isn't just what feels right to me and what I've learned, but this is backed up by all the people that really matter and all the things, some things that have been said for a very long time and some things that are newer thinking. But what I did when I started to think about it was, rather than just think about number, and then if you look at most of the curricula around the world, it'll say number, it'll say addition and subtraction, it'll say multiplication and division, but it doesn't split it down any more than that. And particularly things like subitizing, they're not understood, they're not shown as subitizing is so powerful. It is what is going to give your children the ability to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and thoroughly understand number. And it not only isn't well taught, but it disappears then in most of the curricula that I've seen when children are 5 and 6 and 6 and 7 and so forth. And you've brought that up many times. And the other thing you brought up is, again, I'm going to talk about England here, and you think about where you live in the world. The transition at the moment from a child moving from early years, aged 5, they might have only turned 5 in August, to year 1 in England is not serving the child, and it is not serving the teacher, and it is not serving the parents. And it isn't because people don't want it to work, it's because people haven't got the right tools or aren't going about it in a way that would make it work yet. And we always have to, I think that if you don't have the right tools, no amount of hard work and good intentions will get you there. So thank you. We got a question here from Jenny. If we join summer school, will the recordings and resources stay in our impact library permanently, or they disappear after the summer? If you're in impact, I'm going to look at a way of you having everything after this ends. And I'm going to look at giving the other impact members who don't join the content, but not the equivalent of all the live support, because we need to differentiate between those of you who came along and had all the live support, but the resources I'm going to make available to impact members. So what it would be a little bit like our challenges, what you're paying for, particularly if you're an impact member, is you're paying to have access to me. You're paying for all my live support. You're paying to do this 2 weeks together, because we know that when we work together live, it works so well. If you try and do one of the challenges on your own, you never get as much out of it. So does that make sense, Jenny? And I've just got to think about how I'm going to do that in your library. Okay. Any other questions? If I've missed a question, by the way, just copy and paste it and pop it on again. Okay. So that's why I've split this. This isn't about do this first, do this second, do this third. I've had to order them. I've had to put some numbers on, otherwise I can't refer to them easily. But this is what all the impact members particularly are used to hearing me say. And if you've done any of the challenges with me, we have to think about maths happening around the child. When you're a writer, some of you did this within my challenge last year. When you're a writer, you don't just do phonics, you don't just do mark making, you don't just do let's have ideas to write about. You have to bring all those skills together to be a writer. And to be a mathematician with that's got number sense, you have to have all these skills happening. So we are going to be looking at how you shine the spotlight on a certain skill, but ultimately we're looking for all these things to work together. So if I move on, then there's a lot more to say when I start the training with those of you who signed up on Monday. But this was another biggie. Tell me what you think about this. I've asked for feedback from some, but if you've not seen this before, let me know. I've looked at the document Birth to Five Matters, which, as you can see, non-statutory guidance for the early years foundation stage, guidance by the sector for the sector. So this was written as an alternative to development matters by people that people respect very highly in early years. And it's something that most people have got a copy of, and it's completely free to access online. So if that question comes up, but how do we get a copy? You literally just type it into Google and you can find it. Now, 3 and 4-year-olds are known as range 5 in this, and 4 and 5-year-olds are known as range 6. So I created range 7 and range 8 because I want us to come into this and think, this is not about the age of these children, because depending on where you are in the world, children start formal schooling at different ages. We know children are developing at different rates. We know that a child coming in that has had certain experiences at 3 and 4 will be ready for different things at 4 and 5 than a child who hasn't had those. And likewise with 6 and 7-year-olds, you have to know what's gone before. So I wanted to give you the sense that this is not about joining key stages together. This is about the same child being on a journey. So does that make sense to you? You know, it's not going to be perfect, but I think the idea about we need to have a sense of being able to reference ages to keep children on track. But I want to lose the idea about this is what a 5-year-old should be doing, because it depends what's happened to them before. And it also, just because they haven't done something doesn't mean they can't learn it well at 5, but you need to know what it is they haven't had yet in order to allow them to make that progress. Caroline, I haven't signed up yet because I'm away next weekend. Will this be a problem? No, because everything will be recorded and just you'll be able to come all next week, but come to as many lives as possible, but you will be able to watch the recordings either, I say either when you're away or when you get back. An Impact Member Galaxy is my monthly membership. Go and have a look on the website. So they're basically people who, it's a month, I've got Pathway and Impact. They pay monthly, they do training with me. We have an Impact Lounge in the case of Impact, and we support each other a lot. So I'll tell you more about it during the training, but there's information on the website as well. So we've got also the early years foundation stage, and we've got the national curriculum for England. Now, if you are not using the national curriculum for England, it doesn't matter, because maths is maths. You will find the same sort of content, whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, the States, whether whatever you use. And it's of course, this isn't for the UK, this is just for England. But don't feel that, well, I need a Welsh curriculum or I need a Scottish curriculum. It's just that, as I say, you look at yours through the same lens that I'll be looking at as we do the training together. So I wanted to put this in because this is a part of the national curriculum in England that is generally overlooked. A lot of the curriculum is overlooked. People tend to use schemes and not look at the curriculum at all. That's a massive issue in year 1 and year 2. But I want you to, even if you don't join the training, I want you to look at the curriculum. If you are teaching 5, 6 and 7-year-olds, I want you to look at the curriculum. And even if you're teaching the 3 to 5-year-olds, you need to know what happens next. Look at the introduction. What are the aims of that curriculum? Because anybody that is using the national curriculum, so a lot of people that are joining us from the Middle East and maybe other schools around the world that follow the English national curriculum, make sure you've read this, because this stuff is about the joy of maths, the purpose of maths, problem solving and so forth. This is what maths is for. And a lot of this gets very, very lost in very dry objectives. And when you're justifying why you're teaching the way you're teaching, this is the law. So make sure you use it. And I think I could put money on people thinking, I'm not sure if I've ever seen this, or I haven't seen it for a very long time. So make sure you have a look. It's good stuff. It's all online. If you're in another country, find the equivalent. Read yours. What does it say? Here then is the first 6 jigsaw pieces. You've got 12 jigsaw pieces. Remember, if I go back to the start here, there's the 12. And I split them into 2 lots of 6. And to get your badge, you are going to, after you've completed 2, you get your badge. And then after you've completed the next 2, you get a badge. So as we work through together, and the eagle-eyed people will have spotted there are 10 sessions together, Monday to Friday, this coming week and the week after, but there are 12 sections, 12 bits of jigsaw. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that yet, but I will make sure we do all 12. I'll join them together. So here are the written. This is like an index for you, like a contents page. So I'm going to show you now what the resources look like. And this is from Jigsaw Piece 2. So we do have Jigsaw Piece 1, which is all about noticing. And what I've done then, I want to show you the layout, and I want to show you what I've put together. And if you like it, if it makes sense to you, if you're excited, then come and join us. It's as simple as that. So I've done this each time because the jigsaw, I don't want it to be linear. Maths is not about coverage. Maths is about connection. Of course, we have to teach everything, but you'll find that I might put like a number 4 over here and a number 7 down here. It's just all about connecting it. So on each one, in fact, actually, yeah, I'm going to go to this one first and swap them around. So for each one, what I've done is I've done an introduction first. I'd ask you sort of not to try and read this while I'm talking you through it, just more take on board what this is for, because each of the jigsaw pieces has this. So I've done an introduction and talking about what this means. Then I've done, how can you make sure that the maths you are teaching is purposeful and engaging and enjoyable for you and the children? Because if it isn't, they're not going to learn. And if you don't care about what you're teaching and you're trying to care, but you really don't, they're not going to learn, and you're not going to enjoy what you teach, and you're not going to be able to listen and go with the flow and react to things. So that is a massive part of each of these jigsaw pieces. And the second one, oh, hang on a second. I think you can still see that, but mine disappeared. The second one is about taking action in your setting. So for every jigsaw piece, I have given you an action or 2 actions to take so you can go and do this in your setting. And when I say setting, it's 3 to 7. So don't get caught up on the semantics of this. We have different words that we use with our early years children than we use with our 5 to 7-year-olds. And it's really important that we leave that at the door, because we're all working with children that are very young. And I love the fact that I'm allowed to say that 6 and 7-year-olds are very, very young. Doesn't mean they're not very, very capable, but being able to talk about them alongside our 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds is really good. So we've got that. Then the next one, which at the moment is the other way around, I have given you an overview. I wanted to show it as a journey. So we've got range 5 here, which is your 3 to 4-year-olds, range 6, 4 to 5-year-olds, range 7, 5 to 6-year-olds, and range 8, 7 to 8-year-olds. And I had a look at this jigsaw piece and thought about what are the key skills that we would want children to be learning and are appropriate for children at that stage or age. So I've gone through looking at this journey. So can you see here? I'll give you a minute just to look at these. Maybe look at this one and then look at where it ends up. So these are 3 and 4-year-olds. And by the time their children are 7 or 6 and 7-year-olds, that's where these skills end up. So have a little look there. So my background is I was a teacher for many, many years, from early years right up to year 6, which in England is 10 and 11-year-olds. And I've been a subject leader, a maths subject leader in a number of schools. I've been a senior leader. I've been a local authority consultant. And before COVID, I taught teachers just like you to teach maths with more skills and give them better tools to work with from early years right up to year 6. So I have taught teachers of Key Stage 2, not just Key Stage 1, so that's 7 to 11-year-olds. So all of this that I bring to you is stuff that I've either or both done myself and trained others to do. So it should give you a lot of security, particularly when you're talking to your senior leaders. So then what I've done is I've included, this is going to be a central theme running through everything we do. Most of you will have heard of concrete pictorial abstract. Those are words that came through originally from the way Singapore teaches maths. So this doesn't matter where you are in the world, and you can look up Singapore maths. And then it was also associated with the way that Shanghai teach mathematics. And these words get batted around a lot, and they also are synonymous with the term mastery. Now, mastery, in whatever form you think mastery might mean, it might mean nothing to you, but certainly in England, it's a word that gets used a lot and misused a lot. Jerome Bruner in the 60s, which by my reckoning was more than 60 years ago, he talked about enactive, iconic, and symbolic, and said we learn by doing. We then create images of what we understand. So if you think about a baby might be holding a banana and looking at the real banana, and then gradually they can start imagining bananas. So maybe when they smell it, or they start to get used to what the parent does, they can picture this. And finally, that child ends up to associating the word banana with that image, with those smells, with that experience. Tell me in the chat box, does that make sense? But that's how everybody learns everything. You can learn to memorize stuff, which isn't the same, but if you want to create memory and understanding, you experience it, you create memories, which is, we can think of those as images, and then we have words that trigger and you go back to that experience. So these words are equivalent, all right? Nothing new about this, but this stuff's really important, which is why I've put it in. So if we go on then here, this is what I'm hoping is the really yummy stuff. I started writing this first a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't happy with what I'd written, so I started again because I thought, I don't want another document full of words. I just think I know that when you have to read a lot of words as a practitioner, you have far more to process. That's the whole point of this, is when someone says cat, you understand a cat by picturing a cat and then thinking back to your real cat experiences. So if I present you with a document, and particularly if the way of doing it feels quite unfamiliar and new to begin with, you're going to have to process an awful lot if it's full of words. So I was like, no, I really want to make this as visual as possible. And there are more words that I'm going to add to these, but pictures tell so much more of a story than words, in my opinion. Do you agree? Are you going to remember when we do the training together what those pictures meant and imagine your children doing them? And are they going to talk to you in a much more, tired brain, chaotic brain? I'm not just teaching maths. I need to be able to take this information easily. So let me know in the chat box if this thinking works for you. So what I've done is taken the statements from this, exactly the same. And then I thought about the experiences, and I'll say what we'll do when we do the training together is we'll start putting some descriptions under here. In fact, I think I'd done this the other day, but maybe I've saved it on another one. But these are the experiences, in my opinion, and with my experience and the research that I've done, that 3- and 4-year-olds need to be able to develop these tools and really thrive. And what I've done in every case is I've looked up child development for this age group. So I've used people like Julie Fisher, Tina Bruce. I've looked at development matters. I've looked at birth to 5 matters. So I haven't just taken what I know about mathematics. So it's really consistent. So you're not going to get anybody coming along and saying, oh, this is Karen Wilding stuff. It's not Karen Wilding stuff. Yes, a lot of the originality and the ideas might be in mine, but it's based on really robust child development research. We've also, and I really want to credit these people, they'll have to help me. These are mainly impact members at the moment, but I have used images from our impact group. So our impact membership have their own Facebook group called the Impact Lounge, and we share a lot of learning and a lot of training. So we've got calendars here, and I'll be explaining how that fits with your 3-year-olds. We've got this one here. I don't know if you can see, these are children with seeds. circling around 1s, 2s, and 3s. We've got another calendar here. So these are all from my members. This is me in Qatar earlier this year, working with 3-year-olds who are often English is easily a second language and sometimes even a third language. And these kids were amazing, and they all chose to sit there. They were not asked to come and work with me. This is self-registration. I have deliberately always aimed to use things that are in your environment that are free or recycled, or the stuff that children are using anyway, like the snacks that they eat. That then develops down here. Remember, it's the same tool. It's all about perceptual subitizing, which is the ability to see an amount without counting. And there's an awful lot we need to look at with that, because there's many, many inaccurate and incomplete statements out there about this. So with the next stage up, these are our 4 to 5-year-olds. We're starting to look at joining 5 frames to create 10 frames. We're comparing the amount of leaves we've collected. We're comparing the amount of bean bags that we need for a game. These again are from my wonderful impact members. So voting for books, playing games, planting seeds in the sunflower challenge, calendars, just so much. They're so generous, the impact members, at sharing what they've got. This is self-registration. Then we've got things like this, which I would put into my what called move it to prove it. So again, I'll talk you through this. This can be physical and it can be pictorial. And then we've got the extension of the self-registration here. Now, I hope this is obvious that if you're teaching what we call reception in England, which is 4 to 5-year-olds, and you think my children haven't had any of this, instead of doing what I think a lot of schemes do, and you're like, I have to teach this because it's in reception, you'd look back and you'd think, my children need all of this before they can do this. But can you see that this and this are the same thing? They're just earlier stages. There isn't a sense of it being different maths, different experiences. So tell me in the chat box, can you see here, if I've done my job well enough, there won't be that feeling, look, leaves, yeah? Self-registration, calendars. This is progression. This is about meeting children where they're at. So children with specific needs, children who arrive without English as their first language, children who've had a trauma in their life which has affected their learning, all the things that just are very, very normal. So tell me, just if I pause there, tell me if does this make sense to you? This is what the training every half an hour for each day is going to be, looking at one of these elements. And of course, I've got a stage 7 and a stage 8 as well. Now let's pop some, any thoughts, any questions? So I'm going to finish by showing you what exactly the same. And also what I've said as well, look at this, all of stages 5 to 7 and. So that means that when I'm teaching my year 2s, which in England is 6 and 7-year-olds, you can still use these activities and these approaches, but you just would check, for example, change the range of the numbers. And we'll look at what that looks like, because it's not a case of moving on and not doing things in a meaningful way. But I wanted to show you where we could take this. So for example, here, I think this is Haley's daughter, who's an impact member. Haley, if you're watching, let me know, because I've got, I say, brilliant pictures. So this was her daughter on the kitchen floor or the living room floor at home, just obsessed with 10 frames, wondering how many things she had. And rather than counting them, she's looking, and you can see she's filled 6 10 frames and none of the next one, so 60. Investigating capacity, we've got some brilliant projects to share with you there. Look how obvious 23. Look, the 2 means 2 finished 10s and 3 of the next 10. That language is so important. 52, look, we've got 5 10 frames there, and we'd have another 5 10 frames here. Look, just like this, that's what creates 100. So we've got 5 finished 10 frames and 2 of the next 10 frame, or 5 finished 10s and 2 of the next 10, 52. And then I'll show you how to take that forward into hundreds and link it to money, link it to measures, because it's all the same learning. So this learning here is connected to this learning here. And it's all this wonderful toolbox of ideas and support, and showing you, one thing I'll just finish on, looking at this, can you see along the top here? What I've done is I've thought about the different areas of the curriculums, because certainly again in England, there's been a real unwelcome focus, quite rightly so as well, about calling things with our very youngest children things like geography and history. Now, I can't change that Ofsted are doing that, but what I can do is support you in feeling comfortable with those words and what they mean for our youngest children. So in my opinion, these activities here support all the areas specifically that are coloured in blue. It doesn't mean there won't be any art and design, technology, music, history, and geography. I want to go for the main ones. And at the bottom, if you do the termly challenges with me, so I'm just going to try and get me Zoom out of the way here. Oh no, it's not moving. Out the way. Here, we've got the super subitizing challenge that happens in the autumn, the 0 to 20 challenge that happens in the spring, and the sunflower challenge that happens in the summer. And I wanted to say that what we're doing here, because look here, that's from the sunflower challenge. And we do huge amounts of, for example, the book voting and so forth, and self-registration, the super subvertising. It does link to this one as well, but I thought I might colour that one in later. I didn't want to be too general. So everyone, who's already joined? Who's going to be with me on Monday? Pop it in the chat box. Who came on to be a bit of a tire kicker and thought, oh, well, I haven't got anything else to do for half an hour and I've got a glass of wine, I'll come and have a look. Maybe have you, oh, I love that, Nina. Is this for you? It's fine if you're not ready for me to help you yet. That is always fine. Always, always, always. But if you are there going, this makes so much sense, and someone said, I'm doing a lot of the work for you here, and it's not going to pull you in loads of different directions, because I don't produce a scheme. if you have to use White Rose, for example, if you're doing NCETM Mastery, well, one of those is a scheme and the other one's approach. What I'm giving you is how to understand maths. And everyone needs that, regardless of what a school says you have to use, because what you have to use is a recipe book. What I give you is the cooking course. That's the way to look at it. Okay. So all you have to do, my husband's going to tell me off now because I said, I'll be finished by 8. All you have to do, if this is the right thing for you, hang on, I don't want to showing you my inbox. That's not what I wanted to show you. Hang on a second. Let's just get rid of that. Right, I just want to show you if I can get it up here. Do you know, I always think I should be so much slicker at this by now, and I'm really not. Right, so there's the EY Maths homepage. It's very easy, co.uk. There's summer school. There's the page. You've got a day left to sign up. If it is the right thing for you, there's the page. There's the details. If you need to wait till September to pay because you get permission off a senior leader in your school and they say, yeah, you can absolutely do this, but we can't pay till September because the school's closed, that's fine. You fill in the form, which is here, and then you literally click on here where it says email, and you email my assistant who's called Gift, and you say, please, can we pay in September? And she'll say, yep, and she'll add you to the list and grant you access, and we'll just trust that you will pay your bill when it comes through, or some lovely person in finance will. Only 3 sleeps to go, says Anna. Okay. Can you tell me, did anybody come on here thinking, I don't really know what this is, I'm not sure, and has decided to join? Tell me in the chat box. And then I might just go into like marketing and sales and just give up the maths thing if I'm doing this okay. Me, says Jenny. Brilliant. All right. So yeah, Jane, me, brilliant. Any questions, everyone? You can email us, which is just the email address you always get from us. You just click on reply from any email we've ever sent. It's info@karenwildingeducation.co.uk. If you are in the big 3 to 7 Facebook group, pop a question in there. Yeah, but you've only got till 9 o'clock tomorrow. So don't do the last minute roulette. And there are a limited number of places because I can only have so many people on Zoom. So once we get up to that number, I have to close it. All right. Nina, yes, their lives are always 9:30 in the morning. That means that everybody east of the UK as well can more easily join. It's working really well, but it'd be 9:30 till 10, Monday to Friday for 2 weeks. Okay, so nice and sweet and easy. Bring your best coffee with you. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It is always brilliant to have you on. I can't wait. And as I say, we are here to answer your questions. So ask away. All right. Practical ones, content ones, it's up to you. All right. Hope it's been really, really useful. And will the slides be available to print so you can annotate them? Ooh. Let me have a think about that, Marie. I've got to think about my times. I'm not going to stop you downloading stuff, but certainly grab a notebook. Making lots of notes would be really helpful. All right. You're very welcome, everyone. Take care. And I hope to see lots and lots of you on Monday morning.